Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In First Chronicles 28 and verse 9, David is speaking to his son Solomon, and this is what he says. He says, "As for you, my son Solomon, know the God of your father, and serve him with a whole heart and a willing mind. For the Lord searches all hearts and understands every intent of the thoughts. If you seek him, he will let you find him, but if you forsake him, he will reject you forever." This is great advice from the elder David, a man who really knew what having a relationship with God was all about. He had served the Lord, loved the Lord, been devoted to the Lord his whole life, and had been connected to God in the good times and also in the hard times, in the difficult times. And the Psalms bear that out. And now we get to hear from this aged David speaking to his son just what it truly means to be in relationship with God. And the first thing he says is, know the God of your father. The first thing is to know God, to have a personal relationship with God, to not just serve him disconnected from him, serve him like you might serve the government that you have no relationship with, but you just comply to the rules because you don't want to be punished or something like that. But know the God of your father. That is, personally know God. And it says, and serve him with a whole heart and a willing mind. God's desire is that Solomon would serve him with his whole heart and with a willing mind, not just having compliance, but being committed and being plugged in, being devoted wholeheartedly to God and to God's will. And this is what God truly desired. And this is what he got from David. And Solomon needed to walk in the steps of his father and do the same thing. Because it says, for the Lord searches all hearts and understands every intent of the thoughts. So God knows if our heart is in the right place, if we're doing it with the right intentions, or if we're just trying to check off the list, if we're just trying to comply, just to get it done, just to try to avoid punishment, something like that. God knows whether we're really serving him with our whole heart or not. And we might say, well, why does it matter? As long as we're doing what God tells us to do, why does it matter if we do it with our whole heart and if we do it with a willing mind? Well, we have to remember that our serving the Lord is, again, based on relationship. It's based on knowing God. And when our subjection to God is based on relationship, it's tied to the heart. And so the heart very much matters when you're in a relationship. Going back to the analogy with the government, we don't have a relationship with the government necessarily. The government has rules and we comply with them. Whether we do it joyfully and wholeheartedly or we do it very reluctantly, all that matters is that we follow the law. If we follow the law, we're good to go. If we break the law, then we have to deal with the consequences. But the heart doesn't really play a part. But with God, it's different because of the fact that, yes, he is our sovereign. Yes, he is the authority of our lives. But he's also our loving father. And he's also the one that we are in relationship with. So the heart becomes very important in serving him. Just as any father would want his children to not just do what he says, but also to love him and to do it with a willing heart and to be devoted to him, because there is that relationship aspect there. And that's what God is desiring from Solomon. And then he says, if you seek him, he will let you find him. But if you forsake him, he will reject you forever. And so here it's also bringing out this idea of relationship where we're just seeking the Lord, where Solomon was to know the Lord, was to follow the Lord with all of his heart and with a willing mind, and to seek God, to seek God's presence, to seek God in prayer, to draw close to the Lord. And that too is very important because of this relationship aspect. And so David is showing Solomon what it truly means to be in relationship with God. Not just obeying the commandments, as important as that was, and David emphasizes that many times, but also to love the Lord, to know him, to wholeheartedly serve him with a willing mind, and to seek him and to desire him. And of course, this certainly applies to us as well. This is what Jesus would teach later on in the New Testament. This is what he would tell the religious leaders, that, you guys look good on the outside, but on the inside, you don't look so good. He calls them whitewashed tombs that appear good on the outside, but on the inside are full of dead men bones. And we want to be people who, yes, outwardly are serving the Lord, that have our hands busy doing the work of the kingdom, things like that. That is definitely important. But also to be people who are wholly devoted to God, to be enthusiastically following the Lord and doing it with a heart that is tied to Him in a relationship, and that really loves God above everything else. And that our obedience to Him really flows out of our love for Him. And when we do that, we will be seeking Him and drawing close to Him, and He'll be drawing close to us. And then submitting to God isn't so bad. It's actually a pleasant thing to serve the Lord when you're doing it this way. To do it reluctantly, to always want our own way, but just kind of out of fear or in a very reluctant way to just serve God, that's a very difficult way to follow God. But when we first establish our love for Him, reflect on all the wonderful things that He's done for us, particularly through Jesus Christ, and we are motivated by that love, serving the Lord is a very joyful experience. And it's something that we delight in. And it's something that definitely pleases God when we're doing it with the right mind and with the right heart. So here's some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.